Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rockwood's webinar series. Today's webinar topic is Evolving Paradigm in Education, the road ahead in and after COVID-19 global crisis. So today's resource persons are, the speakers are, the first speaker, I think Naidu sir, I'm not sure how much of time you will be able to speak today. Our chairman sir, Mr. Rama Naidu, is NIT Warangal graduate and also XLRI management graduate. He established non-profit K-12 organizations, and he is also very well-known motivational speaker and trainer. Towards the end of our webinar today, we will get to hear from him. And the second speaker of the today, I think, well-known person, our principal, Rockwood's International School Principal, Lalita Naidu ma'am. And she has been holding various leadership roles over 30 years in education field. And she has been involved in writing pre-primary curriculum, bubble curriculum, very famous, especially in Hyderabad. And she also is the person who traveled across the globe to train good number of teachers. And as I told the last time also, she summarizes her experience in the education field as 3 Ps: purpose, passion, and pedagogy. The third speaker of the today, R.K. Singh, who is fondly known as R.K. Singh, Mr. Rajiv Kumar Singh, is our education officer for Vanapati, Uppal, and Nagul Rankers and Akriti group of schools. He comes with very good amount of experience. He was the examination support officer at Cambridge International Examinations, and he also had good amount of experience leading IB and then Cambridge enabled schools. He is also a certified soccer coach, and he has expertise in building curriculums and also teacher training and enrichment and counseling students and all that. And the last speaker of the day for today's webinar, Mrs. Uma ma'am, and she is educational officers for our group of schools. She served as principal for various international schools. She has good experience in designing curriculums and also in training teachers and enrichment programs and all that. She has good expertise in affiliating CBSE schools and setting up schools all the way from scratch. Welcome Lalita ma'am, RK sir, and Uma ma'am. I would like to first invite Lalita ma'am to set the context of today's webinar, and so that RK sir and Uma ma'am will take it from there. Lalita ma'am, over to you. You are on mute, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. Very good evening to our respected CEO, Mr. Subramaniam, our education officers, Mr. R.K. Singh and Mrs. Uma Narasimhamurthy, all dear parents, my dear colleagues, my teachers and students. We just thought that, we need to discuss this new paradigms in education. And the main reason being that, there are divergent views. People have different views. And when I interact with parents, I come across a lot of different views about education today. And sometimes as an educationist, we also feel a little afraid and a little worried that what will be the scenario if we look at this present education system from now to another 3 years. Actually, there isn't any grave concern that should be there, but there is definitely a small concern. Let us see, what are we looking at from different perspectives. So I will just set the context to today evening's webinar before I hand it over to our wonderful other two speakers. Yes. I'm a little poor at this, so I go to present. Yes. Yes. So do I also need to disable annotation?
No, I think it is taken care, ma'am. You don't need to.
It's taken care of. Okay. Okay. That's good. So let me first put across from CBSE perspective, what do we think about this year? We very recently had our CBSE chairman and the director of CBSE speak about the entire perspective, and they have taken countrywide survey from all the principals about what should be the year and how should we go ahead with it. So far as CBSE is concerned, this year is definitely not a zero year. Examination will be conducted as per schedule. And as per nationwide survey which took place, there were actually no schools which requested for postponement of exams. At the most, they said that maybe 15 days postponement and not more than that. That is the opinion of majority of the people. Syllabus, so far as it is concerned, 30% has already been reduced. And they have asked us, do we want further reduction? Now, so far as this again is concerned, majority of principals felt that we should not reduce more than 30%. And people like me, like I had also given my opinion. I said we should not reduce the syllabus, but what comes under the purview of evaluation, maybe we can look at it from a different angle of how we test this. Then today, if you look at, the education scenario, schools are given plenty of online tools. CBSE themselves have enabled several online tools. For example, the Diksha app. It is one of the best apps where everything for the teacher, is given. Every single thing, right from, the PowerPoint presentations to, the worksheets to the, to how to teach, to lesson plans, almost everything has been given. And this is there. Then we have the CBSE online, which is again another app which has come. Then there is the National Digital Library, which throws open a world of books for every teacher. Then there are OLabs and several other virtual labs. Okay, almost all the museums, important heritage sites, national parks, zoos, they have just given everything on a virtual platform. Never before has this happened. If we look at Google Earth, I remember when I traveled to Tanzania in Africa to take a workshop on creative writing to the teachers over there, I happened to pass by the Mount Kilimanjaro. And it was such a wonderful thing to look from the flight down to see the mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro. Today, when I go to Google Earth, which is just at the click of my button, I am able to see Mount Kilimanjaro, a 3D view of Mount Kilimanjaro. Probably even if I go there personally, I will not be able to see the way I'm viewing it now. So there are wonderful tools that have been given, and teachers are extensively using that. Okay, now let me look from the point of view of students. So I just, because I talk to students extensively and I have their points of view and so on. So, there are I'm giving, just two small case studies. When I say student one, I don't mean one student, but there are several students like this. Okay. So there are some students who say that my performance has gone up 10 to 20% because of the lockdown or because the schools are working online. The reason being, there is no classroom distraction. There's no friend of mine to poke me and pinch me or find out what is happening and so on. So I am getting very focused and I have better tools for learning to make my, own knowledge base more effective. Then I don't have to go for sports, which I don't endorse. But then there are students who say this, and less of co-curricular activities, all that. And this is, the students, we have different types of students. So these are all those very serious students who look for, these kind of things. So they're saying that all that is essential, they're getting on online, and they're getting more time with their parents, which they never did for many years. Okay, so this is one perspective. Now let me look at the second perspective. I find online classes boring. This is also there. Okay, I get easily distracted. And when I'm switching, say when there is a gap or when the online something goes wrong, immediately I am, switching over to some online game, maybe a PUBG, which is banned now. But I just came to know a couple of days back that even if it's banned, there is a way of playing that also. Okay, so there are PUBG and other online games, and a few of my classmates are also doing this. So we ganged up and we are working on this. So this is one perspective. Okay, and they feel that this year is a 0 year. Whether we study, we don't study, we are going to get promoted. And let's enjoy the year. Okay, it's the best. Have to take the pressure of studying. I can easily fool my parents and my teachers that I'm studying, but I'm actually playing online games, watching movies, my favorite shows. And there are a couple of students who also told me that, ma'am, I wish this situation will continue for a little more time. Okay, so this is another perspective, that we are getting, right? Let me look at parents' point of view. Now, there are some parents who are taking this very, very seriously. They are using this opportunity by being co-educators, taking keen interest in their child's learning. For many parents, particularly those in the IT sector, when they are busy with their projects, sometimes they don't get to see their children too. There are parents who tell me, ma'am, by the time I reach home, my child sleeps. By the time I wake up, my child is off to school. So only in the weekends, for a short period of time, we get to spend with our children. But this is God sent, because especially the women employees, okay, the mothers, they are getting to see their children. They are witnessing their students' classes. They are seeing the quality of teachers teaching. They are able to sit next to their child and witness the class, be a part of their assessment process by ensuring that the child writes fairly and justly. Okay, listen to their classes, their life skill classes, their webinars, and so on and so forth. Children, there are many parents who told me, ma'am, we are just enjoying this. Okay, and just the other day, Subi sir and myself, we were interacting with a parent of ours, and he said that, ma'am, this is unprecedented education which Rockwoods is offering, ma'am. We are so happy with this. Okay, so that is another perspective. Okay, some others are little clueless, they online classes start physically. Okay, when a call goes from the school, they are saying, no, we don't want to send our child for online classes. Let the school start physically, then we will look at it. Okay, and there are a few also who feel online classes are a waste of money. Okay. Some feel that 1 year really doesn't matter. Okay. And see, I am not being judgmental to say this is right, this is wrong, this is what it should be. But I am only putting across to you the points of view of different people. And believe me, this is, exactly verbatim what I speak to people. I have put this down here. Now, from the educator's perspective, let me see what is the scenario like. Almost all educators in the present scenario feel that the online classes are the best possible solution. And educators, not only in Hyderabad, in India, in Rockwoods, or in world over, educators, because I am a part of various forums world over. I sometimes I tell, sir, this is what it is in the schools across the world also. So educators world over are putting their best foot forward to ensure that learning happens in the best possible manner. So, be it becoming researchers, learning technical tools, becoming almost like IT professionals, I never, honestly speaking, sharing a screen was something that I used to be petrified about. Okay, so today, this is something that we are doing it so easily. Okay, so teachers and educators have put their own comforts. Their struggles and travails are besides the point. They have willingly thrown open their houses. Okay, so have you ever, seen how your teacher lives? Today their houses are open for you all to see, right? Their teaching is being judged. Okay, which is good also. Their language sometimes gets criticized, irrespective of the fact whether they are teaching mathematics or science. They need to speak, or they're expected to speak the language immaculately. Okay, so these are also some views. Okay, so let me look from a management's perspective. Now, the plight and travails of managements, private school managements, are far too many to enumerate, honestly speaking. And I'm not talking only about our managements, but all managements. Okay, so there is no reduction. Government is not providing any support to the private sector. Okay, so there is no reduction in rents for the buildings, no reduction in taxes, no reduction in power bills, water bills, whatsoever. Payment for teachers and other staffs need to continue. Teachers need to be provided training. Teachers need to be provided the needful devices, internet connections, and so on. So you will find that, see, I say, for example, I am able to do this webinar with you because I have a laptop provided by the school. I have the technical devices provided by the school, right? So, so like this, like me, all my teachers are provided. Okay, we are able to carry on the classes because we have got this. But where and how? Okay, so many challenges. But one thing, the child's name is today. There is no tomorrow. I always tell teachers, children, parents, and others, that see today, if today is lost, let us say 18th of October 2020, you will never get this day back. You will get 19th October, you will get 18th October 2021, but you will never get this day back. So like this whole year of 2020, we will never get back. And the child's name is today. A year lost is a year lost. Can we afford to postpone today for another day? This year for another year. Let us reflect, ponder, and understand more about this from all the other speakers of today. But I hope I have been able to convey my perspective to you all clearly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lalita ma'am. Different
Thank
perspectives, CBSE perspective, student perspective, parent perspective, management perspective, educator perspective. I think you have quoted it very, very, very nicely, ma'am. And I'm looking forward to, to hear from RK sir next. RK sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Sudhi sir. My PPT can be shared from your end because, yeah.
Sure, definitely, RK sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My dear children, parents, wonderful educators. We are touching, I would say, not a very sensitive but very important, issue under the circumstances, under the situation. We are in a situation, and our children, when we say that you cannot postpone certain things for tomorrow, and I always tell my children that you must learn to live in future. When you act today, you try to touch the future, you think 5 years down the line, and that's the way we go ahead. So let me cover a very, very different aspect of this topic. We are in a situation, COVID-19. We are into it. We are still going through it. We are looking for a breakthrough, a vaccine or some kind of, drug. The incomplete school experience in COVID-19. How to take it as an opportunity. Incomplete school experience. You look around, you see, look at this, little, web diagram. You see that incomplete schooling in COVID-19 time are through various, ways. Let me touch upon every aspect quickly because I have about 10 or 12 odd minutes to cover everything. So let's start with something which is very important for our dear children. Peer group learning. Peer group learning is something which is very important for our younger ones. That's the way they come in contact with each other, they work together, and they move forward. And they learn how to, gel with the people around them, how to learn from each other, how to share, how to become a very, very relevant and important member of the society and do things for the society, for the country, and for the entire world. Peer group learning is learning in groups. Through online, culture of teaching and learning, we could do that because technology has played a major role. But then, personal connect was missing. So that has brought some incompleteness in our system. And we are trying to bridge that gap. Look at the other aspect, holistic learning objectives are being compromised. Tangible connections are missing, engagements, of course, online, virtually, we are trying our best. Get-togethers, festivals, assemblies. Now just compare the Rockford way, the Rankers and Akriti way of, meeting all these learning objectives. Though they are compromised by most of the schools, but we are trying to establish those connections. That incompleteness in the schools, we are trying to bridge that, we are trying to make it complete. So we are looking at that as an opportunity, not as a challenge. Learning gaps and human touch. Now, this is something which is very, very important because those of our children who have been kept away from schools, even through the online culture, their parents are under some kind of, indecisiveness. They are not able to decide. They are not able to think that how this online culture of teaching and learning would going to help them. They are not aware of this learning gap, which would go a longer way, very, very long. And that would create a major issue in future. Reduction in contact time, of course, due to screen time, due to other, issues, health issues, our contact has come down to, few hours, though we used to spend 6.5 hours or 8 hours at school. So that contact is missing. But the best part out of that is opportunity in that incompleteness of the required number of hours is we are developing the independent culture of learning among the students. Then we move to the other side, hands-on experiential learning objectives are difficult to be met. Look at the new education policy. They say that experiential learning is very important. How we experience through feelings, through emotions, by coming in contact, working together as a team. So virtual connect is there, but that the way we used to do certain things physically in the school is missing. But still, from our side, we are making an attempt to, convert it into an opportunity, and we are trying to, make our students hands-on. The inclusiveness of education. This is a very, very sensitive area. Everyone should know that our country is divided into different layers of education, the students I'm talking about. We have metropolitan crowd. They are having access to technology, having access to every latest thing. So they might not be facing much of issues to connect online. They have been exposed to technology much earlier, and they have good infrastructure. But look at the mediocre layer and the bottom layer. We are still having many children who are not accessible, who are not able to access the online, classes. Certain reasons are genuinely, correct, like they are not having internet connectivity, they're not having gadgets. But in certain cases, parents are also not understanding the importance of making them, join the online classes. A sizable, sizable chunk of learner have been excluded. This is the same, point which is related to this. When we see the people who are actually looking into the, usefulness of this initiative by schools, then we see in most of the schools 20 to 50%. 50%, I'm thinking really, optimistic. They are able to understand the meaningfulness of the online initiative. So incompleteness in the school is coming because of all these, factors. The way
RK sir, can you hear us? Okay.
Sir, I'll just pitch in here. I'll just continue a
Yes.
little bit till RK sir comes in. So, when it comes to the hands-on experiential learning, the objectives are difficult to meet to a certain extent because anyway, the personal human touch is always the best. But under the circumstances, what could be the scenario is what we should be looking at. Sir, I think we will go to the next slide because I think he is complete. Okay, there is one more point here about inclusivity of education. Now, there are some students who have learning gaps. Now, what about those students? In fact, that is something that is a little worrisome for many people who have children, but that is where the parents' role becomes very important, and it is imperative for the parents of students who have learning difficulties to pitch in and take it forward. So when it comes to a sizable chunk of learners, yes, when we look at especially the Tier 2 cities, the Tier 3 cities where internet connectivity is perhaps not so good, then what happens? But I must tell you, one small experiment I had done many years back when I was working with one of the foundations. We had worked with the Mumbai Municipal Corporation schools. and our job was to teach them English language. Okay, it was a very wonderful experience, and I had the teachers who were themselves not good with English language, but I had to teach the students through these children. So it was a wonderful experience. Those days we used to have the small MP3 players, which used to come in a small, very small thing, and that had earplugs also. So they could be connected to the earplugs, and that is how, we trained the teachers. And those teachers in Mumbai used to travel long distances through the local trains. So they used to learn this and teach. And within, 10 days, we taught these children 200-word vocabulary and how to use these 200 words. So it was a wonderful experience. I just wanted, since, we're talking about inclusivity and a sizable chunk of people not getting it. And I was just seeing, in one of the districts in Chhattisgarh, how, they made use of radio for transmitting lessons to the children. So there are different, what I should say, oases here and there who are trying out. But it all depends on the ingenuity of human brain and the willingness to do something like this. But the education of children should be the prime importance. And whether our governments or anybody, they just have to focus more on education than anything else. Sir, we'll go to the next slide, sir. Okay. Now, when it comes to where is the opportunity in this incompleteness, well, as I was telling you, explore, discover, invent technology which is in the future. Okay, so we need to think about, it is not only, it's not only the government, it is every individual who needs to think. Okay, even if we need to look at the societal consciousness. How do we look from the point of view of the society? So if we have maids in our house, we do so many things, but why do we ignore those children and their learning? So we must ensure, use radios. Today, everybody has a television, use television, and Doordarshan has come out with wonderful programs on the, education point of view. So, we have to explore all these possibilities, improvise, accept, and adapt. Okay, so the transition from a physical classroom teaching to remote online virtual teaching and learning. This is something that everybody needs to look at it. Okay, so complete this incompleteness through our initiatives. Okay, each one should take the onus. I think RK sir is back. RK sir, you're mute, sir. I'm sorry.
Every time you
that's perfectly okay, sir. It's my pleasure.
All right.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, you need to take over the improvise and
I'll quickly go through that. This is the second slide. I'll quickly go through it.
Yes.
There's a second one, no? Where is
yes, sir.
Where is the opportunity in this incompleteness? We have so many of them. The schools are, of course, incomplete. As a principal, as an educator, as an education officer, looking at the empty school is so, painful. You all would agree, all the principals would. Have you ever seen a school without children? We have never seen a school without children, but virtually we are trying to connect with them. And that connection is going for a toss sometimes when our dear parents are not able to understand our intentions and they are not trying to, explore, discover and invent technology, which is the future. Our children are so very adapted. They have adopted, they are improvising, they are accepting. And the parents are still waiting for some kind of heavenly help, which will definitely come when the COVID would subside. But then we have to act. Complete this incompleteness through your initiatives. Ignorance is not good. Avoiding the discussions to resolve, very bad. Not moving forward with time is accidental. I'm telling you, it would be a disastrous. I'm telling you the reports I'll share later on. Do not ignore the fact that we are social beings. We are, of course, social beings. We are a social, you know, animals, and we have to somehow connect. So let us connect that the initial phase is over now. We have to make this incompleteness complete. Remember, less is always more. Less connect online, it is more, because if we focus, if we make our kids independent learners, lifelong learners, they will move forward, and that would go a longer way. Under the circumstances, we cannot offer you the quantity, but we can offer you the quality. The qualitative classrooms, virtually, our teachers are making huge efforts. We are doing huge investment in every possible area. You talk about technology, you talk about IT stuff, you talk about everything. We are trying to come out of this incompleteness and making it an opportunity to complete. Let's move on to the next slide. Thank you, Subhi sir. The next slide, please. Okay. No, prior to this, yes. Now, this is something which is very important for all of us to understand. A quick list of certain consequences. It is visibly seen and assessed by the World Bank, and it's saying that school closure may cost over US dollars. This is coming in between 400 billion to India, and cause huge learning losses. Now, let's talk about something which is not just the financial loss, but the loss of learning. It will go a longer way. You look at the report which you can find online by the World Bank. If you look at that, you'll find beaten or broken. It's about COVID-19 in South Asia. You would see that how beautifully I'm talking about the report. They have, listed, they have researched and listed all the devastating aspects of this COVID-19 on education. The schools are shutting down. Not shutting for a period of time. Parents think that, oh, school will reopen. But are you aware of the fact that over 1,000 K-12 schools are in the country are up for sale because they're not able to sustain? They will be sold, and you will find some other, things coming up at the place of those schools. 80% of our school education in India is catered by this category of schools, where the fee structure is 50,000 more or less annually. So if 1,000 schools would shut down, which are catering to the mediocre and the bottom layer of our society, then what's going to happen? Pandemic may cause up to 5.5 million children to drop out from education system and cause substantial learning losses. Now, these are the things which we need to think. The incompleteness is one aspect. The other aspect is, are we ready to accept that? Are we not going to do anything about it? Are we not going to accept the invitation which you get every day from the school to come forward and join this drive? This is a drive to fight the virus. We are fighting from our end, because these learning gaps you don't understand will go a longer way. And this loss which we are talking about, this will be the loss of learning in future. Our students who are kept away from schools for say 6 to 7 months, and some parents are willing to keep their children away from school for the whole year. They are willing to take a drop, and they are very, very okay about it. But do they realize that this will push them 3 to 4 years back? Their knowledge, their understanding, their I would say even the caliber would go down by number of years in case we don't do anything about it. We are doing it as educators. We are trying to move it, but are you all trying to move it forward and trying to understand that these studies are not fake? These are the real studies done by the prestigious World Bank, and they're talking about India, US dollar 400 billion. Just imagine, and a huge learning loss. So with that, I would like to, conclude and ask everyone to, go deeper and think, because this is something which will not end like this. This is, in conclusion, I would just like to say that give value to what we can control to move forward. We can easily control the, loss of learning in our own humble way. Try to understand schools, not only our school, other schools are also struggling to sustain. If we all join together, we can move forward. I'm resting my case. Thank you so much. And let's move forward with the next speaker. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, RK sir. You have put it beautifully, and you reminded me of one old saying in English. To raise a child, it takes entire village. You know, it's not just the parent. It's just not the
Yeah, yes,
neighbor. Not just the teacher. It's not just the school. All of us need to be part of
absolutely.
raising the child. I think your entire presentation beautifully talks about that. And thank you very much, RK sir. Now I request Uma ma'am to talk about the long-term strategy, especially given the situation that we have, because this would not be the last pandemic. Anything that may come in the future and all that. Given that, what kind of long-term strategy we should have? Over to you, Uma ma'am.
A very good evening to all of you. Respected CEO sir, Lalita ma'am, RK sir, dear parents, and my dear lovely children, teachers, principals. I'm indeed very happy that I'm part of this journey, and now looking at the long-term strategic plan, we have to rethink and replan. My question to you all is, will this be the last pandemic? As Subbu sir just now said, is it going to be the last one? No, did we not have any kind of epidemics or such kind of things earlier? Starting from the prehistoric epidemic during the circa 3000 BC, goes on and on, like from leprosy in the 11th century, then you had the Black Death, you had the Great Plague of London, and so on and so forth, and recently the SARS. And after everything, we all have survived. The human civilization has moved on without any kind of stopping there. There's no seizure of, there's no stopping of life as such. So the life was going on. And in the same way, COVID is just one another phase of our life, and we need to move forward. When I just look at it in the education point of view, we are all so many of us involved at different layers, starting from starting from the community on the whole, and in that school is a component, and the parents, teachers, all of them are components of the school, and at the heart, at the core center, the base is the student. And we cannot ignore the fact that student is the only soul who has to move on to the next generation. They are our younger generation. They are going to be the future. And now we will look at how we can rethink and replan given the situation that COVID is there. And we need to have the online education. And what is that the society is looking at? What do we want from the children? And technology during the pandemic had its indelible effect on the way our children learn, the way the teachers teach, and the way the schools function. And this is one thing which we all have to note. I'm just talking only about video here. As a society, we know that what kind of an impact it's got on the children. Not just this, I'm talking about all the social media and all those things. Immediately the question would be, what is it are we expecting from the schools? I'm talking only in the perspective of the schools, especially after the COVID. So the question goes to you all, what kind of citizens you want? What kind of society are we leaving behind for the next generation? I'm sure that being an educational technologist, I had always been, talking so much about use technology here, use this tool here, from K to 12, especially. I was advocating it so much in the past, and teachers and even parents used to be very resistant on that. But today, we are left with no other things except this technology. So now the point is, in the future, are we going to take it forward? How are we going to take it forward? In what is the balance? Are we going to strike at the right balance? So all these questions are now there with us. And with that question, we will have to look at how we are going to plan the school. So when we are going to open the school, and especially at this period when the lockdowns are almost like easing down, and there are chances that the schools are going to open, we are looking at children who will not be the digital, immigrants. They are digital natives, and all the most, they have been tech savvy and they know in and out. Whereas we are digital immigrants, and at the at our level, we don't know whether the child is using the right kind of technology or not, whether the child is using the right kind of a mixture or not. So we need to look at what kind of school will be a successful school. So we need to give all the social, emotional, and academic support. And this will come through the rich learning experiences. It can be a mixture of both the regular face-to-face teaching as well as technological, the use of technology. So it's not going to be just stopping with the 3 basic R's. This is a very old one. We have more than other R's coming into the fore now, but rethink is the 4th one which we have to add here. So anytime, it cannot be just the same. In the month of April, we were different, but now we are furthermore different, the way we have to give. And you can see that our school especially has taken it up in the right stride, and you can see that we have already gone to a high expectation level, where the children, the teachers, all of them have taken the technology in the right stride. And now moving to the next level of giving education, the schooling will not be difficult for us. So rethinking school, what kind of schools are we looking at? A quarantine center where everyone is wearing a mask and sitting with a social distance and all those rules and regulations we are having. But schools will morph into learning hubs. So we are not going to anymore continue with just having a normal school with 40 children in the classroom, very close to each other, all those things. But that has its own impact on its own. So we have to say no admission to new people inside, just like that, into the school premises. I'm saying no admission because no admissions mean during the school day, we cannot have anybody walking in or walking out, because we don't know the dangers that they are going to bring in. And we have to have this protective methods. And you check temperature now, and you don't know how many of you are taking paracetamol just before entering into a premises. So every chance, there are so many chances where we cannot understand whether, okay, this is the framework, within this we are going to do like this, because there are people now who have understood how to evade that, how to work around that. So now we are looking at, we have to devise the plans. of how our schools are going to look at. We have altered the face of teaching and learning with the devices, different kinds of devices. And already they are tech savvy now. So are our teachers going on par with that kind of movement is a question. With the ubiquitous devices, day in and day out, new things are coming up, and the teachers have to be equally equipped to that. And we have to have a correct mixture of technology learning as well as face-to-face learning. Of course, this period, as all our respected educators in this forum has already expressed, we have created, we have made the children learn through mobiles or learn through these devices. But ultimately, we have made them as, sitting in one place, sitting in front of the system and exposed to that kind of radiation or whatever, the kind of thing that is happening already. And I'm really taken aback when a child told his parent, the mother was asking, come on, get up, you're always sitting here only. What do you want for tiffin? You want, I have idli, dosa, both of them are there. What will you have? Idli, along with idli, chutney or sambar. The child very coolly said, give me a mobile with chutney and sambar. That is my breakfast. So now, look at the state. We have to, as a school, we have to think how we are going to make sure that children don't feel that kind of a, without mobile, I can't live. That becomes my food, kind of. And they say Google is not anymore God. Google is everything we were thinking, but Google is not God. They say, I order around and Google is my assistant and it is able to do everything for me. And today morning, when my son told this, I was taken aback. He said, Amma, why do you call it as God? It is not a God. It's only an assistant. I can order it around. No, it was, and you can imagine the children, especially from the classes 9th, maybe from 13 onwards, even a 7th standard child is now playing PUBG online. And not only PUBG, they have so many other games which many parents may not even know. But now, as teachers, you have to be aware of this. As educators, we have to be aware of this. As a school, as parents, teachers, all of us together, all the adults in that environment must be prepared to understand that these things exist. And you can't just pull it away from the child, but you should know how to give that space to the child to make them understand. There are a number of fatal cases, especially at the teenage level, due to these games. We have come across many now. But still the parents are not able to do anything. So now, I know for sure all parents want to send them to the physical school where there will be a space where the children can develop in the right direction. And we all know that these are the most important disadvantages that we have come across. Deterioration of students' competencies. As an educator, I am for technology, like infusing of technology. I was talking so much about technology in the past to the teachers, thinking that it will be a percentage in the teaching learning process. But today, we can see that this has become 100% online education, where sometime back, I remember a student was taken to the psychologist and psychiatrist rather, and he asked the parents, well, tell me, they were telling why they took him to the psychiatrist is that the child was using too much of technology, is becoming addicted to technology and all those things. So they wanted him to be counseled. But then the psychiatrist just called the parents and he asked them, are you having a mobile? What kind of a mobile? And all those things. They said, both of us have smart mobile. And immediately, they wanted to show him what they had. Then he said, no wonder he is using it. So you, both of you do not use the mobiles and you put them, throw them away. And then they said, there is no choice for us now because we are both IT professionals and we have to use this in and out at all times. And we need to use this. Then the psychiatrist said at that time, I'm talking about a few months before January, I should say. But today, will that same thing hold? It may not. Because There is no choice for us. We have to use technology. We have to use the online gadgets. Parents have to use, children have to use, everybody has to use. But how far we are able to understand the balance, to strike the right balance. So the competencies, the child is telling, the mother is telling, why don't you just go and check who is ringing the bell and talk to them? No, I'm not interested in going and talking to some strangers. But somebody has come to our doorstep. Why don't you just go and tell them something? Or if there is a phone call and the mother is busy or the father is busy, they say, just tell somebody that I am busy with something. Just in 2 minutes I'll call. No, I can't answer those calls. So the basic competencies of communication, the right way of approaches have completely deteriorated. It's not only about that, even writing paragraphs. Today, we are not having written examination. So we have to resort to that. So when we rethink, we have to see to that some way of improving these, all these competencies. Technology wise, now we are very, very competent. All children, everybody. Slowly, the teachers are also coming to that level. But what about other competencies which we know as educators that we need, that the children need? And isolation of students in a digital and virtual world. They are totally out of their socialization at all. They don't know, they don't want to interact with each other. There is no social interaction. They want to be away. And even if they want to talk, they want to talk online only. And very important, inclusivity, which our educators, respected educators, were talking about in the previous talks. Deepening of social inequalities. The haves and the have-nots, that difference is not known to the child. The children, those who have, they don't even respect, or they say, this is the situation, so what? So what should I do with that? Attitude has come in. So above all, I believe, I really think that, see that, perceive that dehumanization is happening. And that is all because of the overdose of technology. So now when we are rethinking, we should know how to balance both. So then comes in the new skill-based education, which the government of India has given, started with this initiative, which we have to have lots of plans through which we are going to actually bring this about. Maybe that will be a solution. Now coming to teachers. And teachers have to have the right kind of data based on which they can help the child socially and scholastically as well as emotionally. So we need to have the right kind of planning for the teachers, which will upgrade them to the extent that they don't miss the face-to-face teaching as well as the online teaching. Both are needed. There is no doubt about it. And all of you will agree that when a teacher is there next to you, that comfort of sharing your problems, sharing your whatever your inner mind says, there is a person with whom you can discuss all these things. But online, there is a screen in between both of us. So what happens, even though I try to be very emotional, I try to be very attached to you, is it possible? There are problems. So now we have to look at how to balance this too. And the emotional part of it, especially parents do have lots of problems with their children because they don't have another person, a teacher with whom the child is able to share or the child is able to interact. So that is another thing which we have to look at. And the most important thing, all of us are parents, and I know how difficult it is to look at the whole perspective of parenting is becoming different. I can't say, don't touch the mobile, don't use the screen, don't do this, don't do that, all gone. You also have to look at the screen. You also do have to do your work. And especially when both parents are working. I know one of the parents who told me that in the previous school, he was my student, and they said, ma'am, we miss you a lot because you used to fill those gaps when both of the parents are working and we don't have anyone to talk to. And there again, one parent is telling me that And during this Navaratri, she goes around, she's got a boutique and she goes around selling all those fineries, like, fine artifacts and souvenirs and other things for Dashera. And also she has some textiles and all those stuff she sells around. She goes to the different gated communities and she has the stalls put up. And now this lady has to move around. And the father is also working in a company where he is going during this COVID also, a period also. Naturally, all of us have to work. And now both parents are working and this boy is sitting at home, the teenage boy, she's worried that he will get exposed to so many things. And so what she's doing is she's taking him along with her, but she's using him as her assistant. Though she feels bad, but what to do? There is a issue of, uncertainty, the problems that the parent has to face. So I'm sure that you all will agree with me that a school which is able to cater to all of this will be necessary for you to send your children. There are some parents who think homeschooling will be easier. For such parents, especially, homeschooling will not be easier. For parents who are not highly educated, also, like, they have to also read with the child, they have to move with the child. For them also, it will be difficult. The question is, how are you going to balance this? So for that, we have a good solution, which you can see that our school has already traveled through this journey and now has raised its benchmarks, and it is setting a benchmark among the schools in this society. And no wonder we will take it forward as you need. So with all this, we have to replan together, and I'm sure that all the educators, parents sit together, we can put our minds to get a better plan based on all these drawbacks, fallbacks. So I wish you all a very good evening and keep thinking, and let us together, join together to give a best future for our future generation.
Thank you very much, Uma ma'am, talking about strategic planning, especially, given the crisis that we have on hand. Thank you very much, ma'am, talking about replan, strategic planning and all that, right? Given the short time that we have, we'll just take up one question, ma'am. I would like to ask this question to begin with Lalita ma'am and RK sir and Uma ma'am. If you wish, you can add the points to this as well. This is from one of the parents. Dear sirs and madams, I'm accepting all the points recommended by you without any doubts. But what are the strategies to overcome the losses in terms of sports and playground activities, which I feel of prime importance? As a parent, due to COVID-19, we are experiencing that gap, which needs to be addressed by government and educationists and parents and societies and all the schools. This is very sensitive. It is directly related to the mind and skills development and the performance of kids in the studies also. Please reflect on this. Lalita ma'am, to begin with.
Yes, sir. Yes. I think this is a very, very valid point. And, we definitely, if we look from the point of view of a child, missing, the physical activity is something that, is irreplaceable, I should say, especially the cool, fresh air. Just the other day, when Subi sir and myself, we were there in the school, we had a little child walking in with the parents. And the child was so happy, I cannot tell you. He just didn't want to go. He was there in the, the lawns. He wanted to play. So those are things, which we find that it is definitely a big, big loss for the students. But, keeping students agile and fit is something, a responsibility which, even the home front should take it up. Setting a routine for the children is very important. getting them into, the mode of getting up early, having a small exercise, and from time to time, little physical exercises will be helpful. In fact, I would even suggest to parents that if you have a little space, if you can get your children to do some dribbling of ball, or you can put a ring, a basketball ring kind of thing for the children to keep, throwing the ball, in a focused manner. That also would be helpful. Yoga, pranayama is, something that is very, very helpful for children. Aerobics, and there are lovely programs, which are very enjoyable. In fact, we happen to come across one program where, we do fast walking for a period of 15 minutes, and that is equal to 1 mile walk. It's an excellent one, which we can take it up. So there are several things like this, but of course, nothing to beat the children on the ground with their peers, enjoying a game of basketball or a football. When we just see, the sprawling grounds of our school, we feel very sad that the children are missing all this. So yes, that's something that, we are really looking forward to once the schools physically reopen. There are, all chances, but we should see how many parents will be willing to send their children, and what is the unlock policy for schools so far as schools are concerned. And so they are, they are slow in this one area, but when you see the roads as such, yesterday I was traveling, it was almost a 2 hour. It never looked like there was any kind of a lockdown, any kind of social distancing. So, people can just forget about this, because the people weren't even wearing masks. I was the one with a visor and a mask, and, I looked like some alien somewhere, but that is something that's really missing, So people are just throwing caution to the wind. But we need to be still careful, parents and children, and we should take this cautiously. But as and when the schools physically reopen, we promise you all the possible sports and all the possible ways of, getting you all back to your, fit selves.
Thank you very much, ma'am. RK sir and Uma ma'am, would you like to add very quickly anything onto this? It's short, please. Yes, RK sir.
Yeah, you keep. All right, this is a very, very. I quickly share something. There used to be a concept and a practice which I came across when I was in Bali, Indonesia, and many of American parents used to do homeschooling. They used to homeschool their children. And this is something which is related to the same thing. Now, are you as a parent willing to take charge? Are you willing to take charge of your child? How willing are you? Statistically, you want government to do certain thing for it, school to do certain thing. We are all doing whatever we are doing our bit. Government is keeping silent, just giving the national education policy, no other help. Okay, look at the way IPL is being played. They are in open, and how they planned it. So much of investment has taken place. So such an investment we cannot, do. But then investment of your initiative at home, you take charge, set a timetable the way Ms. Naidu said, set a timetable, participate with your child early morning. A rigorous exercise for 30 minutes will keep them going for the whole day, and don't let them do something which they should not do. You question more than 2 hours of online classes, but you don't question when they sit with their gadget for hours together. Are we planning to look at all these things? If we are willing to, we can make wonders, and we are in a situation. A hope is something which you have to hold on tight and act, and God willing, things would be in our hand, very soon, very soon. So homeschooling, take charge and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, RK sir. Yes, Mom. Okay.
It's okay, sir. I think both the educators have given.
I wanted to thank all the speakers for sticking to your timings and getting this completed within 60 minutes. Thank you very much. And Lalita ma'am, I really liked different perspectives that you very clearly explained and talked about. And RK sir, you talked about the incomplete school and all that very valuable points you have added. And then Uma ma'am talking about the strategic planning, rethink, replan, and all that. Thank you very much, Lalita ma'am and RK sir and Uma ma'am. And I would like to thank all our parents for patiently listening to us, and all our lovely students also. Right? That would be all. Thank you all. Bye for today. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye.